What's up, my YouTube people? Welcome back to another League of Legends video. So guys, a lot of persons have been requesting this for a while to check out Necrits. Your boy Necrits. I heard he's like a really extremely good. My guy know a lot about the fucking League of Legends lore. So today we're just gonna hop into one of his video, man. We're just gonna see how strong each champ is to their lore. So we're just gonna see how strong each champ is. That video, it's a pretty long video, so we're just gonna have fun while watching that video, just to see some of my favorite fucking champs, to see how strong they are and all that stuff. So yeah, today we're just gonna hop into that video today, man. So I hope everybody's feeling good. I hope everybody's safe, feeling healthy and strong. As always, be good and stay safe. So let's hop into this video. Let's fucking go. Let's do this. You already see our boy Brom here, so you don't know, boy. My boy's fucking strong. Go. Necrit.
On this channel we have talked about a lot of different topics and we have made a lot of different top 10
Silas!
lists. We have ranked champions based on their lore, even though that video is outdated now. We have talked about the most powerful champions according to the lore. And then we did it again after Riot retconned their old universe. And we even talked about the weakest champions according to the lore.
Jinx is one of the weakest.
We have never ranked every single champion based on their power in the lore compared to each other.
Okay.
So that's what we are fixing today.
Nice,
today we will rank every single champion based on their power in the lore,
sword, man.
but there is a slight catch. We will be ranking what their power can be measured as. Or if you want to make that comparison, we will be judging their power level. But power level doesn't come only from combat. Lilia is a good example. If Lilia fought Set, Set would probably snap her neck. But that doesn't mean that Lilia is weaker than Set. She is still a spirit born from the dreams in Ionia. Her power level is much higher than the other Vastaya. So when we talk about this list, remember that we are boiling the champions down to a single number. We will be calling that the power level. However, if one champion is above the other, that doesn't necessarily mean that the higher one would be able to take down the lower one in combat. Power doesn't always come from fighting. With that said, we will not be taking into account political power. Swain is one of the leaders of an entire empire. That should give him a massive political influence. Yeah, you know. But that kind of influence on other people is not necessarily his own power. It's just that the other people trust him. Or are forced to trust him. So we are focusing purely on the individuals. Lastly, I understand that a lot of people will have their minds. We all main some champions. But even if you main a champion, just understand that maybe your main is not that powerful in the lore. True. Just deal with it. And to make sure I didn't have any bias and this list is as fair as possible, we spent 4 hours on stream moving around the different champions to strike the perfect balance. 4 hours? There still are some champions that are debatable, but we will talk about these as we get to them. The fuck? Now, without further ado, since we have more than 150 different champions to talk about, let me try to briefly justify the placement of all of them. True. Looking at this list, understand that the ladders don't matter. It doesn't matter if a champion is S rank or A rank, what matters is the placement compared to each other. That's why, instead of using this kind of list, we will be using this kind of list. This has all the champions on one list compared to each other. And even though this looks very complicated, it is very easy to understand. The most powerful champions are at the top, the weakest at the bottom. And in each row, the most powerful is on the left and the weakest is on the right. However, we still have 5 champions at the very bottom, which don't have any lore. Or even if they do, the lore tells us nothing about their power. This is mainly the Voidborn, Corki, who was only ever mentioned in a cinematic, Shaco, who really just doesn't exist, and Amumu, who is just a legend. We have no idea what's happening with him. So now, finally, let's get onto the list. From the video where we have ranked the weakest champions according to the lore, you may remember that the old crowned king of the weakest champions was Draven. Draven is an entertainer who is a good fighter but who lacks some real training. That's why he used to be the worst. But ever since then, things changed slightly. First of all, the new crowned king of the weakest champions in League is Seraphine. She is literally a person who can hear your thoughts.
She can hear your thoughts?
I wonder how that's gonna protect her from the blade of an axe.
Because she uses...
But above her, instead of Draven, we have Jinx. And there's only one reason why
Jinxie, they might have Jinxie as the
you
weakest,
see,
yo.
Jinx is just a crazy person with a gun. Jinx is the Florida man of Runeterra. She is certainly dangerous,
yeah, but
compared to all the other magical creatures on this list,
that is so
she's
true.
really not that strong.
That's true.
And the only reason why Draven would be able to beat her is because very recently Riot tried to give us some context as to how Draven works. His problem used to be that when he throws away his axe, he can't get it back again. But Riot tried to argue that he has more axes hanging on his belt. Now, I don't know how massive his belt is,
well, that's
or how many
a big ass
he
belt.
have on his belt, but you know what, that's a good reason why Draven could be at least equal to Jinx. So it really doesn't matter which one you think is weaker, these two are just the worst. Not as bad as her though. Above them, we have Annie. This may surprise a lot of you.
What?
But remember that Annie has no real idea how to use her power. The only thing that ever happens to her is that
when she gets
scared,
angry,
Tibbers
emotional,
comes to save
yeah,
her.
that's true.
And that's all that ever happens.
Because she doesn't
Unlike
really
what she
know how
does
to use
in
her
the
power.
game, in the lore, she doesn't really know how to cast
use
spells.
that is true.
It just randomly happens. Then there is Twitch. Twitch's advantage is that he's a mutant. He
Big
can
rat.
get wounded and then be fine the next day. And he has a really deadly crossbow. But that's kinda where it ends.
That's it.
The one who would be able to beat him is Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is really strong when it comes to his physical form. But he does have his limitations. He's a machine, so if people know how he works, they can easily abuse him. And also, his moral code tells him that he shouldn't be harming
Fucking
people.
Cassiopeia.
Above him, believe it or not, there is Cassiopeia.
I want to
And
know
that's for
how
one
the
simple
fuck
reason.
Cassiopeia is there?
Cassiopeia never does what she's actually doing in the game. In the lore, all she ever did is strangle people with her snake tail. However, we should mention the fact that she did
has the
petrify someone
Medusa
once.
eyes.
There was a story where she was stressed and she screamed so hard she turned someone into stone. So she does have some abilities, but first of all, it is her curse. She doesn't know how to control it.
Wow.
And we simply don't have that much info on what her abilities are about.
So lore-wise,
simply
she doesn't
needs
know
more
how to
lore.
control.
But at the very least, she really
My boy
doesn't
have
have
Echo
the
down
ability
there.
to summon
Echo is the same
snakes.
as Jinx.
Spitting poison is the only ability which I would understand. Then there is Echo. Echo is kinda shady because yes, the ability to
they have a-
calculate time may sound
I've never actually seen
but
this
it has
one.
a catch. Yes, with
Which
his
one
device, he
is
can
this one?
slow time for a brief moment. And then for quite a while he can't use it again. But that is the stronger ability. His rewinding time is even worse. He can only rewind like 6 seconds back. And he can only do it if he is alive. So one
shit.
bullet in the head and Echo
that's
is
it.
done. Not to mention the fact that even if he rewinds, he will still feel the pain from his wounds. This was especially shown in his cinematic.
Yes.
So his abilities are really not that powerful. Then there is Mundo. Mundo speaks for himself. He is physically strong, but he's dumb as bricks. Then there is Ezreal. And right
Ezreal.
after Ezreal, there will be a lot of champions
Gerald
who have very
Lightfeather.
similar power
What?
level.
Gerald
Ezreal's only
Lightfeather.
issue is that he doesn't really know how to control his glove perfectly.
What?
He himself doesn't really have any kind of professional training. And oftentimes, he has no idea what he's doing.
But
He's
I saw
kinda
my guy
squeezing
helping
the glove
Cassia.
and hoping that something good happens. So while the Glove of Nazuk, the artifact which he has, is really powerful, Ezreal doesn't know how to fully unlock its potential.
What the
On a
fuck?
similar
He
level,
don't
then
know?
there is Graves. Graves' power really comes from two
This
things.
shotgun.
Living in the underground, he has lived through a lot of shootouts. He knows how to fight people.
He know how
but
to
also
fucking
his
shoot as
shotgun
well.
is just really powerful.
Yep.
And since
That's
it
a
is
fucking
partially
rocket
enhanced
launcher.
with magic and hex tech, it is just really strong.
Yep.
Very slightly above him there is Misfortune. Yes, she's
MF.
just a human. But on top of
Misfortune.
Graves, her combat mastery is a bit higher.
I think-
She's far more agile. She has charm
I think
on her side,
put it into her and
similar to
Jinx,
Graves,
she will
her
kick
guns were
Jinx's
crafted
ass.
by
She's
the
more
best
ruthless than
in
Jinx.
Bridgewater, her parents. On a similar level, above her, we have Alistar.
Alistar.
While Alistar is really strong because he is a Minotaur, that's kinda where his powers end. He would be able to take a lot of hits and he would last for very long.
But
But
that's
anyone with at least a little bit of training would be able to outmaneuver him. Or if they are clever, they can outlast him.
True.
Really, compared to the other Minotaurs which we know about from Legends of Runeterra, Alistar should be one of the weaker ones.
Wow.
Then there is Jace. Above everyone else,
Man,
he actually
Jace,
has
yeah.
a really powerful hex
Hammer.
machinery.
That's
on his
his
side.
my boy
That
hammer and
being
the
his
gun.
hammer.
Come
but the
on.
real benefit he has comes from his intellect. He is very smart.
True.
But his smartness probably won't outmaneuver Vi. While Jace crafted the hammer himself, Vi's
Come on!
were enhanced by the professionals in the Piltover military.
Fucking
so in present days,
yo,
Vi would be above Jace.
I knew
And
if I
of
would.
course, above
In
her,
episode
we
8, Vi would have
Caitlyn,
definitely.
who not only has a really deadly Hextech sniper rifle, but she also has professional officer training on her side.
She would
Though
definitely
even
beat
that kind of
fucking
training
Vi.
would not outlast Gangplank, whose
Gang-
power
he's
really
the one who
comes
killed-
from his stubbornness and refusal to die.
And he
lost his
killed
arm and he came back.
MF
he was
fucking
tested by
father-
Illaoi with the power of Nagake Boros, and he
Illaoi.
passed the test of his will.
Illaoi
He
is
was
the-
deemed
Illaoi is the
worthy of
person who
living
saved
by
Pike.
the gods themselves. That alone makes Gangplank more powerful than anyone else so far. And this is where the power level jumps up a bit. So
Okay.
now we get to people who are either military veterans,
And-
or they have some kind of a special or magical training. First there is Irelia.
Irelia!
Comes from a family of weavers. They were weaver dancing. And it so happens
Blade
that
dancer.
her weaver dances are able to manipulate blades that come from her family crest.
Come on.
She was quite strong even when she was young. That's when she cut off Swain's hand. But
Whoa, she's
still
the one who
somewhat
fucks up Swain's
inexperienced
motherfucking
compared to
hand.
the others. What she's really lacking is some professional training. Irelia is purely self-taught. She knew how to dance, then she realized she can manipulate blades, and
then
she
she just-
herself started training with the
Yeah,
blades.
so she just hopped into
So,
battle and just.
someone like Riven would be above her.
Riven,
Because not
Cause
only
Riven
is
knows
Riven's
how to
blade
fucking
far
fight.
more powerful than what Irelia has.
She
Remember
destroyed-
that her
remember they
weapon was
destroyed her
crafted
blade.
by the Black Rose. But also, Riven was trained in the Noxian military.
Yep.
She got a proper soldier's training. So
Definitely.
those combined
So she
would rank
knows
her
how to
higher.
fucking
and she would be
fight.
roughly on the same level as someone like Akali. Akali is partially spiritually
Look at how
attuned to
fucking
Ionia,
sexy she
even though
look,
her
yo.
bond is not really that strong. But she also has her Kinku training, with the
Kinku.
Kinku being one of the most powerful orders in Ionia. And then we have two Yordles who are highly debatable.
Isn't that
There
Nar?
is Nar and Fizz.
Who?
The issue with those two is that they are primitive. Nar is the oldest Yordle on Runeterra, and
Ooh.
Fizz is very close to him. And while Nar's mega form would be able to defeat anyone else so far, he is not smart, and so the rest would be able to outmaneuver
he's
him.
not
And with
accustomed
Fizz,
to
the
modern day
issue is that
technology.
Fizz just never fights. He jumps around and plays with people, but he never really does
The
anything
playful
beyond
trickster,
that.
that's his
Yordles
name.
usually rank higher up because they are Yordles. Their normal power level is really high, but they are brought even higher because of their intellect. Yordles are smart.
Because
but
they
not
live
these
long.
two. That's why these two are debatable. So if you would personally
Shit.
rank them higher, I would understand.
Okay.
And then there is Gragas.
Gragas.
While the Iceborn
Big belly
are
drunkard.
really strong people, Gragas is lacking any kind of real weapon. Yes, he would
Yeah.
be able to punch you to death, but that's kinda where he ends. He is physically insanely strong, but nothing more than that.
Wow.
He would be on a similar level as someone like Quinn. Quinn's
Quinn.
issue is that she is no assassin. She's
Bro,
not a
this
killer.
girl have a fucking
She's
bird on
scout.
his shoulder.
She is really good at sneaking around and scouting areas. But when she gets into a fight, she's not that good. As an example, in the Garen novel,
Garen.
Quinn almost died after fighting two people at once. Valor does a lot to help her, and we are counting that power. That's why she is a lot higher than someone like Caitlyn. But still, she is really not that strong.
This is just a
And
fucking
above her,
human.
we would have the two Noxian assassins.
Katarina.
Of them, Talon is absolutely the stronger one. That's why he's above her. However, neither of those two assassins are perfect. The reason why Katarina has a scar on her face is because she failed as an assassin. That's why she was kicked out. And
What?
Talon managed to
Shit.
fail to kill Katarina when she was stationary. So neither of them are perfect killers. That's why, above them, we would have the Demacian crew. Fiora, Jarvan, and Garen are all interchangeable. We know that Garen and Jarvan should be on the same kind of level, because from their childhood they have always been training together.
Yeah,
The
they have
two
been-
are
always
great
have been
friends.
fighting.
But the reason why I
Demacia!
slightly higher is because, unlike Jarvan, Garen is used in battles far more often. He should have more experience. And the
Indeed.
very slight problem with Fiora is that Fiora is focusing on one-on-one battles. She is an amazing duelist, but her combat abilities are highly limited by that.
Oh.
And above these
So
three,
it's just
we would
one-on-one.
have
She
Darius.
doesn't fucking
Darius
fight it.
should be just as strong as Garen.
Darius,
The two
yo.
would likely be equal. And while Garen has the advantage of having Petricite, the Noxian soldiers have the Black Iron, which is mined from the Freljord. And that
Mined
is the
from the-
strongest kind of steel that we know about.
Oh, it's
Darius'
plot armor.
armor is nearly unbreakable.
Plot armor.
If you also count the fact that he's a member of the Triferix, even if we don't count the political power,
Plus
Darius would be
his
slightly above Garen.
lack of morale.
Surprisingly, slightly above him, then we have the special people.
Twisted
Just
Fate.
like Twisted Fate, who
Come
seems to be a
on, bro.
normal human, but he is actually a mage.
Yeah, my boy
and his
knows how to
magical
fucking
abilities
cards,
alone
yo.
would be above the rest.
Yep.
Vayne is on a similar level, but she doesn't take advantage of magic. She ranks higher above the rest because of her arsenal alone. She is a really good killer. But she is also being carried by her weapons, which are armed with silver bolts.
That's
But better than
we mean
silver
carried by
bolts
our weapons. That is
Lucian
her.
with his sentinel guns. The recent event showed us that the sentinel guns are really powerful, but they also enhance Lucian's abilities. They give him slight magical abilities
And movement,
such as
unlike
his death.
movements.
Above
Yeah.
Lucian, we would have something like Zack,
Zack.
who is really just an experiment
Gelatin.
with quite some potential, but that's really where Zack
My boy is a
ends.
gelatin.
He is strong when it comes to slapping people, but he is just a blob after all.
Pop,
On
cow.
a similar level, we would have Singed. He is a Piltovan professor
Woo,
by
that's
day
fucking
and
Warwick.
a Dawnite murderer by night. He managed to figure out how to slightly prolong his own life, but he's currently trying to figure out how to really become immortal. His current experiments are some of the creepiest stories which we have in League.
boy.
And it is all about Singed stitching people together in hopes of
Oh, he's the
attaching
one who
a
made
smart
Mundo,
person
right?
onto a strong person, and therefore prolonging the smart person's life. There is the theory that Singed wants to do that to himself. I highly recommend reading his story. And above Singed, we would have the other crazy person, Jin. His
Jin!
power comes from two different things.
His fucking
his
guns.
masterful planning
And his guns.
the Tula Armory. Many people may not
Tula
know about
Armory?
it, but all
Oh,
the
his
guns
gun.
that Jin has were sponsored by a secret Ionian cabal. They are really powerful and magically enhanced.
Wow.
So his arsenal would rank him above the rest. Then we have something like Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is a Voidborn
Kha'Zix.
who eats animals. He's not
Kha'Zix.
really that smart, but physically he gets stronger with every kill.
Okay.
However, he's not really the ever-consuming void creature. Surprisingly, Lux would be on a similar level.
Yeah, Lux
She's
is-
a really
she's-
strong mage,
she's a
and
very,
she
very
has
strong
the
mage.
potential to be really high up on the list. But her issue is that Lux doesn't really know how to
control her
life.
powers.
That is the
That's-
point of her story.
most of these
especially in the
fucking
comic.
champs
Above
don't know
her,
how
we
to
have the
control
other
their
people
powers,
who tap
yo.
into magical abilities, such as Nidalee. She is really
Nidalee?
just a person who taps into the ability to morph into a cat. And then there is Kaisa,
Go,
who really
my
just taps into the
fucking
ability
wife!
to have a
Yes!
sword
Look,
attack. Strong,
Like
but
you're
it's nothing
sexy.
mindful. And then there is
Kaisa.
Rengar, who over time is getting stronger and stronger on a way faster rate than someone like Kha'Zix.
Kha'Zix
And
is
don't
who
worry,
took out his
no,
fucking
we are
eyes.
not counting the power that comes from the Sentinels of Light, just like for Vayne. This is just Rengar before the event.
Yeah, just
Then there
rank
is
plain old
Elise,
Rengar.
who just like Nidalee or Kaisa,
Elise is a spider.
human that is tapping into another source of power. But
Spider,
it just
right?
so happens to be that the power of the Shadow Isles is way better, with it being connected to an immortal god called Vilemo. Above her, there is Kain, who is
Kain!
also tapping into
The
another
Shadow
power.
Blade,
The
yo.
issue with Kain is that he is still a child, and
Rust.
his shadow training is
Huh?
nowhere near completion.
My boy is a fucking
So
kid.
he is neither a master of the shadow technique, nor is he the Darkin. That's why he is a lot weaker in the current state than what people realize. On a similar level, there would be Warwick,
Or Wick.
who is really strong and really
Fucking
ferocious,
Vander,
but his
R.I.P.
insane
Vander.
status kinda cripples him at the same time. The same goes for Urgot, but Urgot is actually smart. And that's not even talking about him being
six-legged.
really resilient.
Yo.
Or the fact that he can meat grind people. And slightly above him, there would be Sona, who
Sona.
is a really powerful mage who can
So how
make
is
you
Sona
dance
above
so
Seraphine?
hard your bones break. Don't underestimate Sona. And on a very similar level, there would be someone like Orianna.
Orianna.
Orianna's power doesn't really come from combat. Yes, she can fight, but she's no fighter. Her power purely comes from the fact that she's the perfect
ball, right?
combination of organic and synthetic. She is the
Her
top
ball.
form human assimilated with Hextech. But she's not quite perfect. We'll get to that. And then there is Yumi.
Yumi,
While everyone
the
may argue that
cancerous
Yumi is
fucking
just a
cat.
that's not really the case.
Yumi
is a spirit from Bandle City. She is exactly the same thing as something like Pix, which Lulu has. So it doesn't matter what she looks like. She may look like a cat, but her power level would be something close to something like Vastaya, a magical creature. But she would still be slightly lesser than that.
And
That's
Rakan.
why above Yumi we have most of the Vastaya. There is Rakan, who is really the weakest of them. Then there is Set, who is a really strong fighter,
on, boy.
and he's a Vastaya, but his human side is kinda holding him back. Above him there would be another really formidable fighter, Sivir. Sivir would be a lot lower on the list if he didn't hold the Chalikar. The Chalikar is the blade that was the key to sealing the Darkins.
Yes!
That artifact alone is insanely good. But above her there is Samira. Samira is a girl.
She's the one who can. Her ult doesn't have any fucking cooldown. She can just use it once you have style.
Is the fact that her arsenal comes from the Black Rose. You really can't find more advanced weapons in the entirety of Noxus. Then there is Talia, a really good stoneweaver who suffers from two things. She is really young and inexperienced.
True.
And she never got proper training for her abilities.
Yep.
She was trained by Yasuo when she was in Ionia. And that's really where it ended. So should she get some proper elemental training from left, Talia would be a lot higher. But currently, she's not that strong. And finally, to top of this category, there is also Xayah, the last Ionian Vastaya, who is by far the deadliest of them.
Come on,
but
my
here
girl,
we have
rebel.
a bit of a jump in the power level. Next up, there is Xin Zhao, who many may know as Viscero. That was his gladiator name. Xin Zhao was originally an Ionian soldier. He was insanely powerful, but he was captured by the Noxians during the invasion. Because he was so strong, the Noxians thought it would be funny if they used him in the arena.
Gladiator.
And so, that's where Xin fought. And no one ever defeated him. He was able to take on dozens of people at the same time. And so, being as strong as he is, the Noxians then used Xin Zhao as a living weapon. And together with some other gladiators, they sent Xin Zhao into Demacia to claim the lands for them.
Wow.
That's where the Noxians were defeated, and Jarvan III thought that Xin Zhao was not fighting for the right side.
Okay, so they took him out.
Anyway, the point is, Xin Zhao is insanely strong. But not quite as powerful as someone like Lee Sin. Lee Sin may be slightly lower than
the blind Shaolin monk
fighting. But Lee Sin has the edge because he can use the Dragon's Flame. The
Dragon's
same
Flame.
goes for Yasuo. He's also a really good fighter.
Come on,
but
boy,
he has
boy.
the edge because he can use the wind technique.
Come on,
and
man.
somewhat of a similar thing
Victor.
Victor himself is a really clever
Victor.
inventor.
So this is how Victor turned. Remember, he has the same arm.
He's really good at replacing his own body. He is simply more than a human, on a similar level to other people using some kind of a powerful technique. And what's better than a really clever, powerful inventor? A Yordle inventor. Or three of them. Rumble is the lowest of them because Rumble is using literal garbage for his machinery. Heimerdinger is above him because he actually knows what the heck he's doing with his inventions.
Professor
and Ziggs would be above him because Ziggs
so this is fucking Ziggs. Ziggs with a big fucking bomb.
His wild side would give him the edge. Then we have the two guys who are tapping into the powers of the Void. They are not really as insanely powerful as people would think. They are really just people touched by the Void. But the Void is so powerful that Kassadin and Malzahar would be above the rest.
Kassadin and Malzahar.
And then there is Kled. A really old and really skilled soldier.
Mischievous
soldier. Who's kinda held back by his dementia. A very unfortunate fate for Kled.
Oh shit, my
boy.
boy.
Because of Skarl, it almost kinda equals out. Shyvana would be on a similar level. Being a half-dragon, it's almost natural to be a really powerful magical being. Almost as powerful as the last land-walking Vastaya, Wukong. The reason why Wukong is above all the other Vastayas
are fucking
Wukong
like
was trained by
half animal, half.
Which means that Wukong has the basics of the Wuju technique. He can't use it, he didn't have visions of the past just like Master Yi did, but even with Master Yi's training on its own, Wukong is just way more powerful. And he's even using the battle staff of Doran. Above him we would have Sion, a human being resurrected by pure dark magic. That's kinda where that ends. Above him, there would be Yorick.
Yorick.
Someone who is able to survive the Black Mist because he has a vial of the Blessed Waters on his neck, and someone who has the ability to speak to the dead and control the
My
dead.
boy can talk to...
Though
What the
that
fuck?
is not as powerful as someone like Illaoi,
Illaoi.
who is the chosen of the god of motion called Nakake.
She's the one who saved
Using
Pike.
the Eye of the God, which is the artifact she's holding, she's able to test
Illaoi.
mortal souls. That's what she did to Gangplank. And channeling the god's powers, Illaoi is just way above everyone else.
Illaoi.
Though the Iceborn would be above her. Just like Ari. Alright, I always say that someone is the last Vastaya, but no, Ari is the last land-walking Vastaya.
Oh, because she's a fuck.
While the Iceborn are really strong themselves,
Bro.
because they are just really resilient people inheriting
on,
the
man.
distant power of the Watchers,
Ash.
while being able to wield weapons of true ice, which can instantly
Sejuani.
kill anyone who is not an Iceborn.
Whose
Ari
difference
is on
is
a
this
similar
one?
level
Ari.
because she is empowered by the souls of her victims. So when
Yeah,
it comes
because
to
she
Ari,
kills them, she
essentially, the longer
remembers-
she lives,
Yeah.
the more powerful she gets.
That's fucking
Then above
true.
the Iceborn, we have some of the undead. Kalista is there because unlike the other people from the Shadow
Kalista.
Isles, Kalista is not utilizing the power of the Black Mist. That's why she is a lot lower. And
Oh.
Karthus is really just hurting the
Karthus.
souls. He doesn't really do anything about that. And so, above those, we have the other people
Action.
related.
Yo, what the hell? Action.
There is Akshan, who should be on the same level as someone like Lucian, who was way lower on the list.
But how is he
But
so-
the Absolver and the ability to resurrect people brings
Oh.
him a lot higher. Next to him, there is Senna, who is also just like Lucian, but she embraces the power of the Black Mist. And the same thing goes for Gwen. Except
Gwenny.
for Black Mist, Gwen is using the Hallowed Mist.
Hallow.
And
Oh,
above them,
Hallowed
we
Mist.
have the last Vastaya, who's not
Sure.
land-walking.
My boy
Being one of
said
the Mirai,
last
who are one of the
Vastaya.
most
She's a
ancient
fucking
Vastayas
mermaid.
we know about, inheriting the wisdom of
This
her
is
people,
Nami.
and having the connection of the aspect of the moon. That's why Nami would be
Aspect
above the
of-
other Vastaya.
So, just like fucking
Then there
Diana.
is Olaf, who is really shady. Once again, not counting the lore from the
Remember when
Second
he
Light,
stopped the fucking
it is
ice
really
when he-
difficult to rank Olaf, because theoretically Olaf is immortal. As long as he fights, he can't die. That
What?
is what his prophecy said. But you know, it would be insane to say that he would be actually immortal as long as he fought. All prophecies should be able to be broken. Otherwise, Olaf would have to be on the same level of something like Aurelian, a never-dying soul. But that would be quite insane.
My boy
That's
cannot
why Olaf is
fucking
where
die.
he is. A really strong fighter with uncanny powers,
Tryndamere.
just like Tryndamere.
The
Tryndamere
Undying.
is above everyone else because he is tapping into the power of the Darkin. That's where his encounter with
So-
Aatrox comes in. So basically, he is a Freljordian warrior tapping into some insane powers.
So
The
Darkin,
same
the Darkin.
goes for Yone, that's why Yone is
Yone,
above him. He's
the
also just a really
unforget-
powerful swordsman who is
unforgotten.
tapping into the power of the Ionian demons called the Azakana.
Azakana.
And that's why Varus is slightly above
Varus
him.
is the Darkin.
Varus is the combination of two veteran archers
And
who
a-
were
and a
incredible
Darkin,
hunters
and a Darkin.
one really powerful Darkin.
Yep.
But here, since the Darkin also has some control over the body, Varus is just way higher than Kain. And he would be
Oh.
on the same level of someone like Yone. And then we have the Yordles.
Yordles.
Unlike the other
The
Yordles, including
Yordles.
Clegg, the reason why these are more powerful is because their connection to the spirit realm is a lot higher.
Oh.
Ziggs, Heimerdinger, and Rumble are really just screwing around in the mortal realms, while all of these Yordles are embracing the spiritual powers.
True,
Tristana would be the
Tristana.
biggest of them, followed by Poppy, who has the edge
Yo.
because she has the Hammer of Orlon,
Come
a
on,
legendary
Poppy.
artifact weapon. Above her, there would be
Lulu,
one of
my
the most
girl,
powerful
Lulu,
sorcerer
yo.
Yordles in Bandit
Yes,
City.
Lulu.
Above her, there would be
Cannon.
whose link to the spirit realm is far higher than anyone else's, because
Because
he's
he-
one of the leaders of Kinku.
Kinku.
And above him, there is Teemo.
Teemo.
We don't know too much about
Yo,
Teemo.
let's say Teemo
but
is a
we
drug
know
dealer, is that
despite
true?
his looks, Teemo is one of the deadliest Yordles out there.
Teemo is
He's
a fucking
master
drug
assassin
dealer.
at the same time. So whether Teemo or Cannon is stronger, that's really up to you. Above those, there would
Teemo
be
is a drug
Trundle.
dealer. Trundle,
Trolls
the
in
troll.
general are incredibly strong. They are pretty much immune to the frost, but Trundle himself is also an Iceborn. He wields
Oh, so
a
my-
true ice weapon.
So that's a
And
true
on top
ice
of
weapon.
The fact that trolls have incredible regenerating powers, Trundle is just way higher than what people would expect. But he's not quite as powerful as something like Vastai Shirei, which is Nico.
Nico,
is not
yes.
a pure
Actually, I was trying to
Vastai
remember her
Shirei.
name. Nico,
If she was, she would be
Chameleon.
way higher on the list. But she is close enough to her pure ancestors that her power levels are just way too high. That's why, notice I didn't call her a Vastaya.
Yeah.
And she would be on a similar level to something like Maokai. Maokai is a nature spirit, but the issue with Maokai is that Maokai is barely surviving. He's doing all he can to push
just like
back the
Ivern,
Black
right?
Mist,
Just like
so
Ivern.
he's not in the best shape. Above him there would be Nunu, but Nunu's powers don't really come
But
from...
isn't
It's
Nunu
all about
from Willump? Yeah.
From Nunu's story, we learned that the ancient Yetis were insanely powerful. They had incredible connections to magic, and their wisdom was inconceivable. So Willump alone is able to carry Nunu.
Well, they said
After
like
that, we
any
have Jenna.
he can
Jenna
do
is
anything he
also
think
a primal
of.
spirit, but she's not in her best shape.
Why
Before
not?
Piltover
She looks
and
so
Zone
fucking
split,
good.
many people worshipped her. That's when she was at her best. But
Oh.
since then, only people in Zone pray to Jenna. And Jenna gets her power from her followers.
From her
That's why
followers.
she's not as high as she could be.
So and this is Lilia.
Is on the same
Lilia,
level.
the
She's
fun.
also a spirit born from
I'm sorry,
dreams
I'm
in
sorry,
Ione.
I'm sorry.
Not the most powerful spirit, but powerful enough. And then we get to Rel. Rel is an incredible mage who is thought to be able to fight someone like Mordekaiser with proper training.
She's ranked so
Currently, Rel
fucking
is
high.
backed by two facts. She is a child and she has no real training.
So she is
Once
a fucking
both of those
kid.
factors get cancelled out, she'll be a lot higher. Above her there is Veigar. The last
Rel is a
Yordle on
child.
this list who is the most powerful Yordle
Veigar,
that
but
we
he's
know of.
not evil. He's
And above
not
him,
yo.
there is a spirit that is
Ivern.
not in a bad shape.
But they said,
Ivern is a spirit
Veigar-
that was born from the Omikaela, the world
Although he
tree of
wants to be
Ionia.
evil, he doesn't
That alone
fucking-
makes Ivern really
Ivern.
powerful. But he's still not the primal spirit of the entire
Remember the video when
continent.
Ivern
He is
fucking
essentially just a
fucked up
spirit
those guys?
in a slightly weaker
Was trying to
form
cut down the
because
forest?
Ivern the Cruel, the Freljordian warrior, cut down the original tree that was responsible for the power of the spirit. So even Ivern is not in his prime.
Wow.
And Ivern would have a similar power to Camille. Camille
Camille.
is an expert assassin,
Come
forged
on.
by Hextech to be perfect. She has enhanced vision, she really can't miss, and she got the best training Piltover could offer.
Wow.
She is really assassin brought to perfection. Galio would be on a similar
Galio
level.
is the
He's
fucking
a Petricite Titan. He's really
Petricite.
big. But
Massive.
that's kinda where his power
Look at
comes
how
from.
massive
If he
this guy
wasn't
is. Look at
big,
small.
Galio would be actually way lower on the list. Because besides moving around, he doesn't do much. Maybe besides absorbing magic. But even that can
Oh, see, he
backfire.
absorbs
On
magic.
a similar level, there would also be Skarner. If you really
Skarner.
think about it, Skarner is just a dude.
He's a scorpion,
but he's
right?
a different species. So
Scorpion.
it is really the fact that he has a Hextech battery on his tail that brings him this high. Then there is Udyr, a spirit walker channeling the power of the primal gods of Freljord. There is not much more I can say on this. He's a guy who is tapping into some real godly powers.
Godly power.
That's why Aphelios is right next to him. Aphelios is also
Aphelios,
the guy
the
who
boy
is
with the
tapping into
fucking-
godly powers
from the
of
moon.
goddess.
Come
That's
on!
why Pantheon is next to him. Pantheon used to be a god himself, but after the Art of War died,
it's
now
just
he
him.
is a dude that is tapping into the remnants of the godly power. And that's why Swain is
God.
next to him.
Swain with
Because
fucking
Swain
Rome.
is tapping into the godly powers of a demon. And
Rome.
one of the more powerful demons at that, the demon of secrets, Rome. And following the
Rome.
patterns, then there is Pike. Pike is a guy who
Boy,
is tapping
Pike.
into the powers of Nagake Boros.
Nagake
While he
Boros.
should be on the same level of someone like Illaoi.
Yo, the blood
Illaoi is
ripper
only
harp,
following
the blood
powers of
ripper,
Nagake
the blood
Boros.
harbor ripper.
And she's wielding them for the gods' good.
And
But Pike
Illaoi
is
is
infused
who
with
saved
those
him.
powers. He's almost being controlled by the god.
Yes.
That's why he's a lot higher.
Nasus!
Stream and Ascended. Nasus!
Ah!
Nasus is really
God!
powerful. He's also quite depressed these days. So he is not in his
What?
Then there is
That's
Nocturne.
that's what's
The
different.
reason why Nocturne
Nocturne was fighting fucking Rise.
low is because Nocturne is banished. As far as we know, he should be still locked up somewhere around Demacia. His encounter with Lux didn't really go well. That's why, in his current form, Nocturne is slightly lower. Then there is someone like Hecarim, who is this high
Hecarim.
because he is fully
Shadow Isle,
embracing
right?
the power of the Black Mist.
Oh, yeah, from the
Hecarim
Shadow
can freely
Isle.
make up his own army as he wishes.
Whew.
We learned that from his very recent story in the Master.
Hecarim.
He simply reaches into the Black Mist, pulls out a spirit, and he uses that spirit as his own soldier.
Wow.
That's why Hecarim can craft his own armies.
Oh, you have
Silas
Silas.
would be on a similar level. Though
Come,
Silas'
my
power is
people!
highly situational.
Come!
If Silas is in the middle of nowhere, he can't do anything.
Yeah, he has to-
needs to be around something magical.
Magical,
But
because
the
he
reason
absorbs
why he
magic.
is high, unlike the other mages, despite having somewhat simple magical abilities, Silas was able to wield the power of Morgana when he was in the capital city. Under normal
I remember Morgana and
normal
Kill.
mortals would be broken by such powers.
What the
But
fuck?
Silas was able to tap into the powers of gods and then wield them. That makes him special. Someone like Zed would be still slightly
The
above him.
shadow
The shadow
fucking-
technique is simply that powerful. It is similar to Nocturne himself, but Nocturne
Zed!
is still weaker because he's banished.
Yo, Zed
That's
rank
why
so
Zed is
fucking high.
And then there is Renekton.
Renekton and
is
fucking
simply far
Nasus.
stronger than Nasus. And in the
So he-
latest story,
Because
we
he- no,
even
because-
saw what
because he's
happens
not
if someone
depressed.
tries to strike Renekton down. Some kind of weird celestial magic reshapes Renekton's bones and meat and snaps him back together. Reading his story was quite mind-blowing. But what we learned from that is that we always underestimated Renekton's power.
Wow.
Then we finally get another demon.
Tom
Damn.
Kench.
Not the most powerful one,
He's
but he
my
is
boy,
still
always
a demon.
hungry.
So his power level in general would be way above everyone else.
Tom Kench, man.
Kinda on the same level of someone like Rek'Sai. One of the biggest Voidborn on
The
Runeterra
mama.
we know about.
The mama of
we have
the
no idea
void.
what Cho'Gath is. But being the broodmother, Rek'Sai
Come
is
on, the
just
one.
extremely powerful.
Rek'Sai is the
And
mama
then
of
there
the
is
void.
Yordles. If
Yordles.
you thought that Spike was really
Big-
good because he was infused with the powers
The
of
big
Nagake
fucking
Boros, he's nothing
anchor.
compared to Yordles. Nagake Boros forged Yordles into a full-on titan. At this point, Yordles is the right hand of the god. And then we have Shen. Being the Eye of Twilight, Shen has by far the best connection to
Somebody
the
will have
spirit
this big
realm, at
fucking
least out
sword
of
as
all the
well.
mortals. He's
Two
really
swords
deadly
my
in
boy
the physical
have.
realm, and he's really deadly in the spirit realm.
So my boy
There's
could
really
go in.
not much
Yeah, I
people
remember
can
he
do
was
when fighting
fucking.
him.
He was.
Then
He
there
could go
is
to the
Brand.
fucking.
Normally Brand would
That's
be a
mother.
lot higher, because
fuck,
Brand is essentially using the power of a world rune.
Yes.
But the point of Brand's story is that Brand can't control the power of a world rune. The
He's just
power
fucking up
consumed
everything,
him.
yeah.
So yes, he is really strong, but he doesn't have the power under control. That's why he is slightly lower.
Fresh.
And then there is Thresh. I'm
Fucking-
recording this before we got the finale of the
fucking-
Light Sentinel event,
the
so that one
fucking
will
boss,
definitely change
Thresh.
Thresh's power. But currently, it seems like Thresh will be the new leader of the Shadow Isles. That's why he is right here. He is holding
Threshy.
inconceivable power. Just
Thresher.
like someone like Syndra. Syndra should be a
Syndra.
lot higher, or at least she has the potential to be higher. But Syndra killed every teacher who tried to teach her how to use her powers.
That's
So
just
while Syndra
fucking
has
stupid.
unlimited potential, as she says, the potential is very limited by her own abilities. She simply has no idea what she's doing.
That's
Then there
fucking
is Zyra.
stupid.
The reason why Zyra is so high is because Zyra is a plant that is currently
This is
consuming
fucking
about
Ivy.
a third of Ishtal.
Isn't
the
she-
Kumungu
that's
jungles
fucking
are
Ivy,
being
right?
devastated by her, so I wouldn't underestimate her powers. And then we get to some really powerful mages. Zillion is insanely strong,
Zillion.
not just because he has the mastery over chronomancy, and not just because he's one of the very few people who are
Chronomancy.
able to resist the void, but also because he is a mage who
My boy
trained
could
in
resist the
Shurima,
void?
in Icathia, in Ishtal, and on the Blessed Isles. Simply said, he is a really powerful mage in general. Just like Vladimir. Vladimir is a
Yo,
mage
look
who
at
has the
fucking
mastery
Freddy
over
Krueger.
Hemomancy, which originated from the Darkin. Combine this with the fact that Hemomancy in general has the ability to make you stronger over time, because you simply reshape your body to be stronger and stronger. He also comes from Kamavor, and also, back in the old days, LeBlanc considered Vladimir to be her only equal.
Look
She
at
has
this
never
fucking
met
guy.
a more powerful mage. That's why
My boy.
Vladimir is so high. He
He's
should
a-
be
he's a
higher,
vampire?
but because Vladimir is hiding in Noxus all the time, he doesn't really have the chance to expand his power.
Why the fuck you
Above
hiding,
him,
bro?
there would be Jax.
the
or
Grandmaster!
Saijak Ikathun.
Saijak
There's not much to
Squari
say about him.
Ikathun.
Jax is
Why?
the only mortal who was able to single-handedly defeat a Shuriman Ascended. He's the only one who was able to defeat a God Warrior. For that alone, that's why he is this high. But also, he is holding the last flame of Icathia, and it is possible that he is a sand troll. So he might be like Trundle, but on steroids.
Well, he has
Then there
fucking
is
4
Evelyn,
fingers.
simply a really powerful
That's my
demon who can
fucking
shape
girl.
into anything. She
That's
grows
my
more powerful
fucking
over
girl.
time the more people she kills.
She is my
Then
fucking
there
girl.
is
I don't care what the
Malphite.
fuck.
His power
Ma-
really comes from the fact that he is simply really big.
Is he
He is the
massive,
shard
my
of
boy,
the
man?
monolith, which was a floating Ishtali citadel.
How
So
big my
coming
guy
from
is?
a purely elemental place, his powers are just really high. However, not as high as the best elementalist mage from Ishtal.
Who's that?
Kiana. In the entirety of that
Kiana, you're the
there simply
elemented. Mrs.
isn't a better
She
maid.
can fucking
Kiana is
move
that
all the
powerful.
Mrs.
Very
the air,
slightly more powerful than
earth
her.
bender,
there would be
water
Azir,
bender, and
who
grass
is
bender.
able to single-handedly raise entire
Armor.
armies from sand.
Ah,
He is the
fucking
most
Zir.
powerful ascendant there has ever been, and he might be the most powerful emperor Shurima has ever had.
My boy is a
Zerath
fucking
would be
boss.
slightly above him for one simple
Boss.
reason. Azir got the powers from the Sun Disk willingly, but Zerath forced those powers into his body.
What
Zerath
the
took more
fuck?
power than what was intended for him.
So-
That's why his power level is higher. Then we get to
Master Yi.
I could honestly rant about Yi for hours.
So he's
but
a
if you're
fucking
curious as to
human?
why Yi is so high, here's why. The Vuju technique is so powerful. It was never intended to be used in combat. But when the Noxian invasion arrived, Yi thought, maybe I should use it. And so he did. And he killed thousands of Noxians alone. The Noxians were so
One man?
afraid of him, they tracked down his home village and nuked it just to be safe. Just to know there are no other warriors as powerful as him. And the reason why the Vuju technique is so powerful is because it dates back to the first ever mortal race to exist on the planet. The
What
first
the
ever
fuck?
Vasai Shirei used this technique when fighting the first Stone Titans. That's why Yi is where
Vuju?
he is.
What kind of fucking
Vel'Koz
technique? That
will be
Vuju
on a
technique,
similar
baby.
level because as one of the oldest Voidborn, just like Master Yi, he is able to kill thousands of people in the blink of an eye. And then there is Tariq, who
blink.
might be the weakest of the aspects, but hey, he's an
What's it?
aspect.
Aspect of
Above
what?
Tariq, I would put LeBlanc. Once again,
LeBlanc.
we are not counting political powers.
So she's a
But
fucking mage as
LeBlanc
well.
is ancient at this point. She is thousands of years old. She was present in the Immortal Bastion when Mordekaiser ruled it. She was the
She
one
was
who
there
got
when-
Mordekaiser killed. Now she is mastering all the black magic that Mordekaiser was hiding in Noxus. And she is dominating and corrupting the minds
So
of
she's
people
more
all
fucked up
over
than
Runeterra.
Mordekaiser?
She has
Well,
eyes
Mordekaiser
everywhere
hasn't been
because,
shown
quite
yet, so-
frankly, she is mind controlling people everywhere. That's what her clones are about. Her clones are the influence over the entire world. I really wouldn't underestimate LeBlanc's power. Then above LeBlanc, we have another powerful aspect, Leona. And above her, there
The
is
aspect
Karma,
of sun.
who is
Karma.
Kara,
Karma
a
was
mortal
in-
vessel to the entire
Yeah.
Ionian spirit. The spirit of
Ionia,
an entire
yes.
continent is inside Karma.
Wow.
So just like the aspects, she is a vessel of gods. Then there is
Anivia.
Anivia, the weakest of the primal gods. Then there is Rammus.
Rammus.
But it is theorized
Okay.
that he might be also one of the primal gods.
What we say?
But
Okay.
truth be told, we
Okay.
don't really know anything about Rammus.
No.
But we know that he is snacking on the Voidborn like they were Cheetos. At least he is very powerful
Wait,
because he
eat
considers the Voidborn Cheetos. And then there is Rai, someone who has the potential of the power of the World Rune.
But he doesn't
But
fucking
unlike
up.
someone
He
like
doesn't.
Syndra,
He doesn't
who has
use
the
them.
potential but she doesn't know how to use it. Rise
doesn't.
also has the potential and he also can use
Use
the
it.
power if he wished to do so.
But he
he
doesn't.
simply doesn't do it because he's afraid he's gonna destroy the entire world.
Like fucking
so Rise
Rand.
is simply insanely strong.
Yep.
He is wielding the power that shaped the entire world.
Wow.
And then there is Diana. One of
Diana.
the stronger Targonian aspects.
Come on,
Unlike
man.
Leona,
Aspect of the moon.
Diana is actually actively pursuing the powers of the moon. Then there is Viego. Viego is simply really powerful
The
because
blade-
he
the
is
Rune
the source
King.
of the Black Mist. He is the one who can dominate minds of pretty much
So my
anything.
boy is the-
but
he's the
held
source
back
of
by
the-
the fact that he doesn't care about corrupting people.
He just wants his
wants
woman.
his old, and that's his
My boy
biggest
just
mistake.
wants his fucking
Then
wife,
there is
yo.
Morgana, also technically a Targonian aspect, but above someone like Diana and Leona. She and Kael were there when Demacia was formed, so they have wisdom, but also they are more closely attuned to the Targonian powers.
Well, she looks-
while
yo,
someone
when-
like Diana and Leona
when somebody
are still
told
trying
me
to figure out what is even
that
happening.
Morgana is
Compared
the
to them,
fucking
Leona and Diana
Morgana
are
is a
young.
fucking good
Then
one.
we
I was
have
like,
another
what?
really powerful
Ornn!
Ornn god.
Come on, the big
Ornn.
fucking ram.
And as strong as someone like Ornn, there would be
Aatrox!
Aatrox,
Woo!
the God Slayer. Aatrox is simply a Darkin that got out of hand. His rage is untamable.
Yeah,
and as
but
long
just
as a
fuck.
mortal is holding his blade,
I swear,
and
I
Aatrox
I
can
thought he would have been
dominate
like in the
them,
top 5.
Aatrox is unstoppable. He is the only being in existence that we know about that was able to kill a celestial god. That being War. And on the exact
That's
same level
Pantheon.
as Aatrox, I would say we have Kael. Kael is likely the most powerful of the Targonian mortal vessels.
Kael,
Being
yo.
the aspect of justice,
Yo, her
she
eyes
can
are so
rain
fucking
down
freaky,
holy
yo.
swords on entire nations. Theoretically, she is responsible for Garen's ultimate, but we don't count that into Garen's power.
True.
Garen's ultimate is technically Kael's power.
Yep.
And the reason why Morgana is below her is because Morgana willingly gave up on some of her powers.
Yeah, she
Above
said,
those,
I don't
then
want
we
that
have
fucking
Lissandra.
shit.
While
Lissandra is like the
was
Iceborn,
really
right?
powerful when the three
She
sisters were
was the
still
one
alive.
who...
And you know, she got wounded by the Volibear. Over time, mastering the ability to not only use the true ice, but also the black ice,
trapped the Watchers.
she's simply far more powerful than people give her credit for. She is
Howling
the only
Mist.
person who is able to keep back the Watchers, the end of all reality. That's why she may be the most powerful mortal in existence.
She's still
But still,
immortal.
above her, we have the stronger of the
Volibear.
primal gods, the Volibear. Then we have Soraka. While it is true that Soraka is purely a celestial being, Soraka gave up on her celestial powers so that she could drop down onto Runeterra, get a physical form, and help mortals from their suffering.
Wow, that's
Soraka
just
does
so
have a physical
fucking...
body right now, but her power is so strong her body is burning from the inside. That's why in-game, when you heal someone, you hurt yourself. It's because the powers of Soraka are too strong for
your
her
mortal body.
Essentially, she is slowly dying. Then we have Mordekaiser, a warlord who, when he was alive, constructed the Immortal Bastion and devastated an entire continent on his own. He himself died on a mountain of corpses. But then he died, he found out there were no gods of death.
And my boy said,
so
no,
he
I'm not
just
staying there,
decided to
I'm
become
coming
the
back.
god of death.
My
If
boy
you
coming
thought that
back.
Viego was the king of the undead, you have no idea what Mordekaiser is about. His power is far beyond that. He is the true king of the realm of the dead.
Motherfucking...
Then there is Zoe.
Zoe!
The
Aspect of Twilight.
Who would rank even above someone like Kael, simply because the Twilight is that powerful.
Big,
but
yo.
also, it is the Twilight that currently holds the reins to Aurelian's soul. That's why she would be above the rest. Then there is Bard. Now, while Bard is not really a fighter and he doesn't hurt anyone, Bard are the first sounds the cosmos ever produced.
What?
He is on the same level of something like Aurelian's soul. He is simply a pure cosmic energy. But unlike Soraka, he didn't bind himself to a mortal form. He just visited Runeterra, and he didn't want to scare people, so he borrowed some items from a traveling theater. He is still a pure celestial being.
My boy, that
and around him, I would rank Fiddlesticks. As far as we know, Fiddlesticks is the primal demon. He is the dark force that is moving the entirety of Runeterra. He is the source of the legend of the 10 Kings. The 10 Kings, where one king consumed the rest. So it is possible that once there were 10 demons, but Fiddlesticks consumed
all of them.
He is the primal evil. And no, the Scarecrow is not Fiddlesticks. The demon is inside the Scarecrow, and he's just using it as a vessel. So remember,
what the fuck,
Fiddlesticks, first of 10, Fiddlesticks, and
the fucking
and
man,
then we have Aurelian Soul.
Big boy! Oh, come on! Who the fuck is number one?
God. Because he has the ability to actually forge stars around which you form planets. You couldn't get more godly than that. However, even Aurelian...
Who the fuck is number one?
Because it was confirmed, everyone in reality has to meet the end. And Aurelian Soul is no exception. Even he...
How the fuck could I fucking... forget about Kindred?
Of all the champions ranked
I feel so fucking disappointed forgetting about fucking Kindred.
It was quite a longer video than I expected, but you know, we had to do it. It was inevitable. Of course, if you don't agree with something, feel free to argue with us in the comment section.
Yo, there's no fucking arguing here. Yo, this is not a fucking...
Remember, we spent
this
4
video was
hours on
fucking
stream with about
awesome.
1,200 people talking about this. I really think this list is really fair. But you know, the lore is ever changing.
This video was fucking good, yo.
So, who knows where Thresh is gonna land?
This video was fucking awesome. Yo, this is... Yo! You just see how fucking strong some of these fucking guys are? What the fuck is on my face? This video was fucking sweet to see all the fucking champs and how fucking strong they are. How the fuck... Aurelian stole us. I don't even fucking know, but thanks you. Yo, thank you so much. The person who fucking requested this video, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so fucking glad to actually see this. Yeah, so that'll be the end of the fucking video, guys. I'm just fucking happy to fucking be here with this fucking shit. So thank you very much. Today was a good one. This guy, he's a fucking boss, man. This guy here, he knows what he's fucking talking about. So yeah, see you guys in the next video, man. Peace out.